Kakadosh, Boker Tov. We're continuing with the halachot of Netilat Yadayim. Maran brings down in Sif Kav Gimel, Lo tiknu Netilat Yadayim ela lekriyat Shema v'litfilah. Aval birkot berachot deshachrit yachol levarech kodem netilah, ela im ken hu yashen amitato arum, she'az asur להזכיר את השם עד שינקה אותם. Which means like this, according to the Shulchan Aruch, and a lot of the Rabotenu Rishonim, you're allowed to say birkot hashachar or other berachot before Netilat Yadayim of Shachrit. If you remember, we actually brought it down also later on in the Ilchot Birkot HaShachar, the same thing, that the order of the Berachot of Shachar was done that you were still in your bed. Only afterwards, when you got out of your bed, then all of a sudden you came and you did Netilat Yadayim. And therefore, that's based upon our Gemara. However, though, according to the Zohar HaKadosh of the Mekubalim, you're not allowed to make Netilat Yadayim Shachrit. Right, you're not allowed to make any beracha until you say Netilat Yadayim Shachrit, which means Netilat Yadayim Shachrit comes first, and then afterwards you could come and you could make all the other berachot. To do the halacha, he says, Yesh le'rov in kol matzorek dat hatamud shelanu v'rov rabotenu yeshanim al Shulchan Aruch shekibalnu orotav. So therefore he says, in a time of need, we could always be posek like Maran, the Shulchan Aruch, even though it is going to be against the Mekubalim. Now he says that we do learn from here that if somebody is going to be thirsty in the middle of the night, he's allowed to come and he's allowed to make a bracha without Netilat Yadayim Shachrit. Now if he's going to be choshesh, maybe he's going to suspect that maybe he touched part of his body which is covered, so then he could just swipe his hands with whatever it is, before making a bracha. He's also allowed to answer Dvarim Shebikdusha, or to make a bracha, whether it's going to be on lightning and thunder, before Netilat Yadayim Shachrit. However, though, from this halacha also, though, you see that if we mention here that a person should do Netilat Yadayim for Kriyat Shema and Tefillah, it's very important that our hands are going to be clean for Kriyat Shema and Tefillah. Normally, when we wake up in the morning, the first thing that we do is we do the Tefillah. However, though, for example, this applies many times to women. Women come and they wake up and then they start taking care. They did the Netilat Yadayim, obviously, of Shachrit. They prepare the lunches, they do all the things. And after a whole runaround of doing many different things, all of a sudden now they want to come and they want to say Tefillah. If right now they weren't certain that their hands were 100% clean, they would have to do Netilat Yadayim. Again, it's without a beracha, but they would have to do Netilat Yadayim. Why? Because the concept of Netilat Yadayim was done also for Tefillah, which means just like by Mincha and Arvit, when a person does not know if his hands are clean, he comes and he does Netilat Yadayim without a beracha. So to in Shachrit, for us, usually we don't have to do it, because usually the first thing that we do is we do the Netilat Yadayim with the berachot. We're coming straight to the Bet Knesset and we're saying Shachrit. So there's no hefsek, there's no pasek in between. However, there's no interruptions in between. However, though, if there's going to be a very big interruption between whether it's going to be the Netilat Yadayim in the morning and then the Tefillah, so we would have to do a Netilat Yadayim without a bracha for the Tefillah. So that's going to be very, very important. The last halakha I will just mention is actually going to be to do with the Sif Kaf Bet, where there it's written, אם אין לו מים יקנח ידיו בצרור או בעפר או בכל מיני מנקה ויברך על נקיות ידיים ויועיל לתפילה אבל לא להעביר רוח רעש עליהן, which means like this. Let's say a person wakes, he doesn't have any water, there's no water whatsoever. So what does he do? So in such a scenario where a person does not have any water whatsoever, says Maran, you could actually come and you could wipe your hands or clean your hands with anything which cleans. So which means that it could be whether it's going to be stone, dust, it's going to be the kesam called the wall, right, or the korah beam, amapa with his any type of a cloth, right, or beged kasher, even a clothing. So he says, but you don't have to do it 3 times. Even doing it once is already enough. If you do it 3 times, it's going to be tavo lav bracha. Now what you do is you clean both hands, right, with, let's say you're taking a towel. You don't have water, so you're going to come and you're going to wipe both hands, right, with this towel, right, and then he comes and he says, so remember that by doing so, all of a sudden now you're going to make the bracha of al nekiyut yadayim, not netilat yadayim, because there's no water, right, so it's going to be nekiyut yadayim. It's going to help for tefillah. However, though, he comes and he says, but it's not going to help for the ruach ra'ah, which means that the second that a person does get water, he would have to actually do netilat yadayim again for the ruach ra'ah. But at least this helps that now he's able to say tefillah. Again, we're talking about a very extreme circumstance that he doesn't have water whatsoever. So again, he's going to come, he's going to wipe his hands with, it could be anything, it could be even a tablecloth, it could be anything, right? Remember that there's only a kasher l'shicha, if a person washes his hands and then he comes and he takes the clothing and he's going to dry it. However, though, if he's coming and his hands are dry and now he's going to take a tablecloth, he's going to take a clothing, right, a towel, whatever it is, and now he's coming and he's wiping his hands with it, this is going to help that now he's able to come and say Kriyat Shema or Tefillah, but again, it will not help for the Ruach Ra, and therefore later on, when he is going to come and get water, he must do Netilat Yadayim again in order to take off the Ruach Ra'ah.